Hello Likers, welcome back to our channel. It's me, your fave, your one and only, your baby girl, Malika. Likers, today we are doing a critical review of Mr. Aloy series, When Marriage Becomes a Nightmare, episode 35. So it starts with the manager, being by himself, going on his way after work, but now he was collaborated by these two guys. Eventually, I never thought that Emeka was going to let this guy go peacefully. I already knew that they were going to attempt something, whereas Debbie was in a car, waiting to see what was going on, because this was a setup from Debbie, by Debbie and all the rest, because definitely they don't want the manager to talk. They don't want him, because him speaking is going to bring them out. So the next scene shows where the guys took the manager to an uncompleted building. You could see the manager being forced into it, and we all know how this thing is going to end. You understand? Because this is not a kidnapping. This is to take him to go and silence him, and they silenced him. They didn't show it, but like we heard a gunshot, and they left him there and went. It was not something like they wanted to negotiate or whatsoever. It was non-negotiable. It had to be done. So the next thing shows Debbie with the guys, who made her to understand that yes, we've carried out the job as we promised. Everything is set. So it's only our balance that is left. So definitely Debbie was happy, because this was what she wanted, so now they have done what she wanted, and the only thing that is left for them to do is left for her is to give them their balance, and they should go. But we all know how things like this end up, because you can never be too sure. Yes, you can never be too sure. So he made sure he gave their balance, and the guys were happy because they have done a good job. So she needed to do her own end of the bargain, But she wanted also to be certain that the job was properly done and neatly, done, especially because she didn't want anything to fall back on her. So the next scene shows Debbie and Emeka celebrating, Debbie making Emeka to understand that I have done the job, the manager is no more. So which means without the manager, there's no way they can have any case against us, and it's true. If the manager is not there, how would you have a case against her? There's no case. There's not possible there will be a case, So she was happy. She was very happy that she has done it, because like to them, they are succeeding, they are doing what they want to do, and they are getting away with it. Yes, they are carrying out their jobs and they are getting away with it. And now they are definitely, from this case, eventually they'll be looking forward to their next target, because they were successful with their first target. Their first target was Benny. It was a success, it was successful, and now their second target is the manager. So they have to cover this, have to keep on covering their tracks. And that is the thing about lies or sins. You always have to do something to cover your tracks. Yes. And now they have to look for a next target, because now, since they have done it, they have been successful. It will make it look like child's play, So definitely they will want to, stretch themselves more. That is how it is with things like this, And their next target is now it's Jonathan and Clara. Jonathan in the sense that they want to make him beg, see him suffer, and Clara in the sense that Emeka wants Clara to suffer based on the fact that Clara once smacked him in her restaurant. The day there was an incident, but he forgot that he smacked Clara too in the presence of her husband. He's only thinking about Clara did to retaliate. So now to him, that bruised his ego, so he has to do everything to bring Clara down. Yes, no matter what it takes, he must bring Clara down according to him. Clara cannot go scot-free. Clara cannot go unpunished. You understand? That is not happening. So Debbie is ready. Anything, this is when you ask yourself, was Debbie ever for once Clara's friend? Because you might think that maybe Clara did something wrong to her, but now you'll be wondering, was she even ever her friend? When you see the way she's behaving, because for you to wanting her friend to be a shadow of her own self after you people have ruined her, you need to ask questions. Were you ever her friend? Yes, because one thing is certain, you guys were never friends. You were never her friend in the first place. Emeka, I can understand, but you, Debbie, is funny. So a maker wants to prove a point, so they are willing to spend any amount of money just to make sure that their friends are brought down, just to ridicule them. And they are happy about it. The next thing shows the PI that went to see Hanks, because he needed to tell Hanks a new development, because Hanks is trying to find out if arrests have been made. Unfortunately, the manager is nowhere to be found, you know and I'm happy because the PI is very intelligent and he does his job very well, and he takes it very personal and very seriously. So he had to make Hans understand that it looks very sketchy and it looks very funny, for the manager to have disappeared the way it happened. It's obvious that something is wrong. It's obvious that somebody is trying to make the manager disappear. You understand? It's obvious that the manager, is nowhere to be found, because some people might be pulling some strings. You understand? So he was, because to him it's more like it cannot be coincidence. Yes, like us, because how he like Hanks was trying to know if it was coincidence with his own. Then the PI said it's not possible. So he turned out to think that maybe Jonathan had something to do with this. No. But the PI made him to understand that Jonathan does not have the backbone. He doesn't have the finances. He is broke. And to pull strings like this, you need money. Yes, you need money to pull this weight of job. Jonathan does not have the finances. And besides, he received text message as well. So to him, when he tried to look at it, if you look around, you realize that the people that are being targeted is mostly you and Clara. Yes, he made the council understand that it has to be him and Clara, because like for them to have issues with one another, which means those people are close by. Yes, because they already have their only suspect now as we speak is the Debbie. Yes, Debbie is their number one suspect, based on the fact that Debbie was sitting on the table with Benny when that message went off. Yes, so their only suspect at this moment is Debbie. And it's good because Debbie is part of it. But I'm also glad because the PI knows that yes, Debbie is their number one suspect, no doubt, but Debbie isn't acting alone. Yes, Debbie cannot pull this weight on her own. She is working with somebody. Yes, she is working with people. She's not working alone. So I am just like, as one thing that makes me happy with this series is the fact that they are willing to, like, they're not throwing caution to the wind, and they are being careful the same way the Debbie and Emeka think that they are smart. This guy, okay, is being careful as well, and that's why he's taking all the precautions that he can take. Yes, he's doing all the things that he can do, because he knows very well that if care is not taken, if care is not taken, things are going to go south. And he has to do a thorough investigation. Yes. He has to do a thorough, because it's very delicate. So the next scene shows Benny being at home, and they rang the bell. So she went to check to open the door. It was the landlord, her father's landlord, who came in. It was unexpectedly, and she just wanted to know if everything was okay when he asked for her dad. So the landlord was like, everything is fine, just call your father for me, okay? And we know when you see landlords in your house, there's a problem. Yes, there is a problem. The landlords will not just go to your house like that. So Jonathan comes, Jonathan, a hungry man is an angry man. Yes, Jonathan does not even want to greet. Landlord is even trying to do small talks. Jonathan does not have time for that. He just wants the landlord to go straight to the point, because to him, he has paid his rent. He doesn't know why the landlord is here in his house. You understand? Like, he has paid the rent. Why are you here? So the landlord just tried to make him understand that take this notice, and check. So you want to know, and the landlord said you should check. So Jonathan checked and realized that he has been given a quit notice. But now, how can you give somebody who paid a year of rent and has consumed just 5 months, and he has 7 months left? Why quit notice? But Jonathan forgets that it's not just about paying the rent. If you live in an estate, there are levies to pay. You have trash can, you have security, you have a lot of things to pay, and this guy is not paying. you know he's not paying because his wife has paid the rent, and the landlord is that kind of petty landlord that will remind you. He will make sure he reminds you that your wife has paid the rent, you know and you have to pay for your levy and all the rest. And to him, he cannot take it no more, because there have been complaints. Everybody is complying except for him. And if he's not complying, they cannot just keep quiet. He cannot keep quiet. He needs to talk about it. You understand? So, and to the landlord, he's a very careful man. He's not waiting for the rent to expire so that Jonathan will still be there. No, he wants him to move. You understand? You want them to move. And besides, Jonathan is not the one who paid the rent. And the landlord is being careful also because he has found out that Clara is no longer with Jonathan. She has moved out of the house. You understand? So if Clara has moved out of the house and the house expires, who is going to pay? Yes. Who is going to pay? So the landlord, he's just trying to avoid problems. But Jonathan, how he is. He doesn't want to listen. He always wants to show himself. Instead of taking corrections, or instead of even behaving like, okay, I hear he wants to show himself. And the landlord also had to remind him that you are incapable of staying in this house, and gave him time, like 3 months, to quit the house. Yes, because to him, at least he has given him ample time. Then the remaining 4 months, he will transfer the money back to the person who paid his house, so that Jonathan will go and look for. Like, my problem now is that this landlord, what does he want Jonathan to do? Because Jonathan does not have that kind of money. Jonathan cannot even feed himself and his daughter. How is it possible that Jonathan will be able to have money to go and look for a house to rent? But that is not landlord's business. Landlord's business, he just wants you to leave his house. He doesn't want to hear anything. He doesn't care about your family issues. That is your business. You should just leave his house so that he will be able to rent it out to another person when the time is right, because you cannot be there and be causing problems for him. And things like this, situation like this, it's easy for Jonathan to take it on anyone. That is for sure. He will take it on anyone, because Debbie was supposed to be upstairs, like to go to her room, but she sat there and she was listening to her father's conversation with the landlord, and that was wrong. The next thing shows Jonathan sitting there, stressing out, and Emeka the bad friend. To Emeka, Jonathan was supposed to smack his landlord, to send him out of the house. That why would he? Because the house is his house till when it expires. It's true. Once you pay a house for a year, you own that house for that year. That is very correct. But now you have to understand that that house was built by somebody. And apart from that, you need to understand that you cannot just do anyhow. Jonathan is there, he doesn't even have his own to eat. Let him slap his landlord. Now, when his landlord will call police for him and they arrest him, who is going to bail him out? Because even if Clara has to bail him out, Clara will first punish him. That is when you will know the kind of friends that you have. They say people should be careful with the friends that they make, because a friend that will want you to always be in trouble, that is when you will understand that this friend does not want what's best for me, and you stay away from. But Jonathan is the opposite. Jonathan is the opposite. Jonathan will rather stay with that friend regardless. Jonathan will stay with that friend regardless. So Emeka is trying all of these things to make sure Jonathan fall into mess so that he will laugh. Even when Jonathan is trying to make him understand that, guy, things are hard. You keep like Big Joe, you are Big Joe. I can't understand. You know very well that this guy does not have a job. You keep hyping him. So that when you fall into trouble now, you run away and you'll be happy. You'll be happy. And now the next thing is to make him understand that omo, you know, he needs to he needs to he needs to sabotage his wife's restaurant. So now, how, what does his wife have to do with this? You know, because to him, the landlord is disrespecting him because he was not the one who paid the rent. It was his wife. So now, if it is a man that is reasoning, will he accept to sabotage his wife's job, knowing fully well that they are eating from that job? That job is where they eat from. you know that job is what gives them happiness. That job gives them put a roof under his head, because for nothing on earth, Clara, even if that rent expires, Clara will pay. Clara will never want to see her child on the streets. And a maker that cannot sit one place is making him understand, I told you not to chase your wife. The same a maker who told him to pursue his wife is telling him that you shouldn't have chased your wife out of the house. You shouldn't have. Whereas you are the same person, always setting confusion here, confusion there, confusion there, confusion here. He will jump from pillar to post, from one place to he will never sit one place. And now it is Ken's name who came into it. Something that does not concern Ken. He brought up a story how Ken they employ people in his office, and he was the one who did the employment. Ken is not a good friend. Ken did not call him, blah 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 blah, blah and all the rest. Let's assume that is the truth. If I am Ken, I'll never want to work with a friend like Jonathan. Yes, because he is problematic. They gave him a job. Hans gave him a well-paying job that he was earning more than what he was supposed to. And what did he do? He sabotaged it. I'll never want to employ somebody like that. I'll never want somebody like that to work in the same company with me. I'm not willing to put my own job at risk at the detriment of another person's stupidity. So if I was Ken, I would not. And now, Mr. Entitled, that the biggest problem that this guy has, Jonathan, and that is what many of us have. We have entitled mentality. This entitlement, you are entitled to this, you are entitled to that. That mentality is what is buying us today. Yes. And a maker is the worst set of friend. A maker is the worst person you could be friends with. And it baffles me to see that everybody around this fool called Jonathan can see it, except for Jonathan. Even his own daughter, Benny, could see it, that a maker is not a good person, except for Jonathan. Except for Jonathan. I cannot lie to you. If Clara comes back to this man as a wife, I can't lie, like us. I will feel sorry for her. Because a man like this, just let him go. Let him be frustrated at the end of the day. When life has finished him, he will just pack and go to the village and stay there and be frustrated to the end of his. That is what he deserves, seriously. Because I don't understand how you will be a man. You're always looking from one trouble to another. You can, like, everything in your hands just turn into something else. You just destroy everything that you come across. Like us, we should be careful not to marry our enemy. Whether being a man or a woman, we should be careful, because this thing called marriage is a lifetime commitment. We should be careful of the people we bring around ourselves. Like as we are going to end this video, honestly speaking, we should be careful. Apart from marriage, friends, this thing called friends. Like us, we should be careful of the kind of friends we keep. We should be like, as I've told people, that after this series like this, I'm not doing any review. I'm going back to my amebo stuff. I'm not doing review. So like us, please protect your mental health, okay? Protect your mental health, because it is crazy. The toxic people that we bring around us can destroy our mental health. Yes. So I'll leave you on this note. Okay, thank you so much for everything. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. And on this note, I'll have to say